When I first watched Blade Runner, I was pulled into the film by the subtle appearance of the story's main character, Rick Deckard, a quiet figure, newspaper in hand, on a rain-soaked, futuristic street. But when audiences first met him in 1982, that same scene was a little different.
They don't advertise for killers in a newspaper. That was my profession.
Now, this voiceover originally used in the film, to put it simply, was terrible.
The voiceover really bothered me, and it didn't make me think that this was like a film for the ages.
But the film's legacy goes beyond the questionable voice work. There's a deeper tale of how this sci-fi movie eventually rose to greatness.
All of this is kind of a process of people coming to realize what an exceptional film this is. And a lot of different things have to happen before it really catches on.
In the late 1970s, Hampton Fancher, Brian Kelly, and Michael Dealey waged an uphill battle to fund this sci-fi movie based on the Philip K. Dick novel, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
This was a small movie. That's how I want to do it. This Rooms, a strange movie, but it's, face-to-face movie. People are talking. And I had this dream of actors, like the right kind of actors, director.
As the project progressed into 1980, Ridley Scott was convinced to come on board and direct the film.
As we were trying to put together the budget, I was talking continuously with Hampton Fancher, so our evolution of the world was growing, and we'd work all day, every day. It felt like weeks.
But even with Scott involved, fresh from the success of Alien, there were still a number of challenges ahead, like major rewrites to the script and figuring out how to finance the film's growing budget.
Everyone was worried about how many months will it take or how many years to make it.
After getting Warner Brothers and other financiers involved, the project was coming together.
Art direction, set design, I think generally was one massive challenge.
We saw the storyboards, we loved all the toys, we loved the gun and the look that Ridley had in mind for it. I thought it could be a big smash hit.
So we released it, and the rest is history.
When Blade Runner debuted on June 25, 1982, it arrived with high expectations. The film included groundbreaking special effects, featured a haunting score by Vangelis, and lead actor Harrison Ford was hot off the success of The Empire Strikes Back and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
This picture is gonna do sensational business. It's gonna do $100 million. It's gonna be a smash.
Yet, despite its pedigree, Blade Runner didn't quite land with audiences or critics.
It was a premiere on Hollywood Sunset Boulevard or something, and I could literally feel the crack that went through the audience. It was either, wow, or
I saw it at a very crowded theater right after it opened, and people were really excited and jazzed going in. They're kind of mumbling and grumbling on their way out. It isn't really a popcorn movie. It kind of tries to be a popcorn movie at times.
It opened, and on Friday night it was huge. The numbers were huge, and then the word of mouth just that weekend petered out. So Saturday business fell off, Sunday business fell off. It's a disappointment.
Critics were divided at best. Some praised its visuals and atmosphere, while others found it slow, confusing, or overly stylized.
I was never really very interested in the characters in Blade Runner. I didn't find it convincing. Instead, what impressed me in this film were the special effects.
This story goes no place as far as I'm concerned. I invested a lot of energy in this movie watching it because it was so striking looking.
By the end of its theatrical run, Blade Runner had earned about $33 million domestically, far from blockbuster numbers. So what went wrong? For one, Blade Runner faced stiff competition that summer. It opened just 2 weeks after E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which dominated the box office and captured the cultural zeitgeist.
82, I think, was owned by E.T. It is a brilliant film. I'm taking absolutely nothing away from it, but it was definitely happy comfort food. Everybody was so plugged into the happy comfort food at that time that they weren't giving movies like Blade Runner a chance.
The way it was advertised on television with only the visual effects shots of a flying car going over a futuristic city doesn't prepare you for the traumatic, emotional side.
I remember thinking that it was much more of an art director's vision than having the emotional impact that I had anticipated it having.
To try and counter that darker tone, the powers that be on the film decided ending the movie on a more upbeat note for Deckard and Rachel would be a good idea.
So it was decided to show the two of them escaping from the city, driving through a lush wilderness.
I liked everything except the last scene, the driving off into the sunset. Didn't buy it, didn't believe it. Looked like it came from another movie to me.
The other issue during test screenings was that audiences had trouble following the story.
When we finally screened the picture in Denver, and we got the cards, a lot of the people said, they couldn't understand. It was unintelligible. They couldn't follow this. They didn't know what the people were saying. It was kind of a different language.
With audiences having trouble understanding the film, the decision was made that Harrison Ford should record voiceover to help explain what's going on, a decision Ridley Scott agreed with.
It wasn't their idea, it was our idea. It was, I am not stupid. I looked at the results and said, this ain't working. I agree with you, but what can we do? How about voiceover? Okay, yeah, let's do it.
But when it came time to actually record the narration, it just didn't work.
Reel 3, Section 1. Take 1.
Neither did the flake from the bathtub. Nothing helped. Not even booze. I was restless and hungry. I needed the streets and I needed food. Pretty weird.
Okay.
Pretty weird.
Now, some folks swear by the voiceover.
Maybe because they're friends of mine. The majority of the people that I've shown it to like the version with the voiceover.
I love that voiceover. I want it. I keep replaying my Criterion Laserdisc to hear that voice.
But it just ends up bulldozing the film's hushed moments, throwing in chatter that doesn't belong.
I remember when I first saw the movie, I'm in the theater and I am so drawn in by what Rutger Hauer is doing. Right at that moment, here comes this thudding, dunderheaded voiceover.
I don't know why he saved my life. Maybe in those last moments he loved life more than he ever had before.
Maybe I guess in those last moments he appreciated life more than ever before. Yes, I know that. Thank you.
Finished.
Despite its lukewarm reception in 1982, Blade Runner didn't completely fade into obscurity. In the years following its release, it began to find an audience on home video, a cutting-edge option for movie fans at the time.
The first time I think there was ever any idea of there being a different version of Blade Runner was when it came out on home video in the early mid-80s. It was actually promoted as having additional scenes of violence not in the theatrical cut.
Showing the film on television also helped nudge people to rethink the film.
And it wasn't until the movie started to show on cable, probably by the third time I'd seen it, that ambivalence had just blossomed into this passionate love for the movie.
But more and more people decided to reacquaint themselves with Blade Runner. And when you reacquaint yourself with it, you fall in love with it.
Audiences suddenly started to realize that, when they saw it on their home TV set and when they could pause it or stop it or go back, then they suddenly realized what an accomplishment it was, and then the buzz started to gather.
Now, it wasn't just the ability to watch Blade Runner at home that helped its cause. In part, this increased appreciation had to do with a work print version of the film, a version that was initially shown to test audiences in 1982.
It wasn't until 1990 when the work print leaked out at that Fairfax 70mm Film Festival that people realized, oh, there's yet even another version, and what's up with all these versions of Blade Runner?
This work print had some key differences. It was missing the voiceover included in the 1982 theatrical versions, and was also missing the happy ending scene. Screenings of the film with these subtle changes seemed to help spark new interest in the film.
That inspired Warner's to release the work print theatrically in a limited run at the New Art Theater in Los Angeles and the Castro Theater in San Francisco. And it broke house records. Wherever it played, it sold out every show. And they had to extend the run because so many people were clamoring to see this new lost cut of Blade Runner.
This led to a director's cut re-release of Blade Runner in 1992, removing the voiceover, removing the ending scene, and adding a unicorn dream sequence that opens up a possibility about who Deckard really is.
He sees a unicorn that he remembers he saw in a dream, and this kind of plants questions in his mind and in the audience minds as to whether Deckard himself, the Harrison Ford character, is a replicant as well.
The response to the director's cut was extremely positive.
All of this is kind of a process of people coming to realize what an exceptional film this is. And a lot of different things have to happen before it really catches on. You know, the initial screenings, everything, it's like a snowball effect.
Then, in 2007, a final cut version of Blade Runner was released that made a few more adjustments.
My agenda at the time was basically to make sure that Blade Runner was not only treated to the best picture and sound quality possible, but that Ridley would finally get to make any last tweaks and edits and cuts to the film that he wanted to make.
Now, the final cut of Blade Runner rode a wave of film re-releases, trailing Star Wars A New Hope's 1997 Special Edition and Apocalypse Now Redux in 2001. Now, those re-releases included big changes. Lucas overhauled Star Wars with splashy CGI and new scenes, while Coppola's Apocalypse Now Redux ballooned by 49 minutes. Bold moves that redefined these films. Blade Runner's final cut opted for subtlety, with Ridley Scott refining Zora's glass-crashing death and reshaping the skyline during Roy Batty's send-off.
And going shot by shot, scene by scene, erasing these flaws, I was always very conscious of, well, have we gone too far?
While the final cut may be the best representation of Ridley Scott's vision for Blade Runner, the director himself still finds worth in all versions of the film.
For those who are going to discover the film, or those who are, enthusiasts of the film, I hope you enjoy them all and see the differences.